Yay. Uh, and Siobhan has asked me to let everyone know that if you have questions, please use the Q&A portion instead of the chat. So if you have a question, I guess specifically for me, Siobhan, most of you, I think here, or at least some of you anyway, are familiar with Siobhan. She is the woman extraordinaire behind the scenes. At the academy. She's the one when you email who responds to you and does her best to help you and uh, does her best to help me every single day. So thank you, my friend, for being here with us. And so here we are. Here we are coming into this open house. And so I wanted to create this opportunity first and foremost for anyone who is, I'm just checking to make sure my phone is on Do Not Disturb. For anyone who is new to the Academy, who's new to the Istaria Crystallis program. If you have questions, you can come. You're here to interface with me directly to ask those questions. And same for those of you who are considering moving on up into the next level. If you've already done level 1 or level 2, and you're curious about the next steps, this is a place where we can talk about this just straight up, straightforward. Answer those questions. I am here for you to do that. And I can also talk a little bit about how this work came into being and the majesty behind this work. And I also have something special that I would like to lead you all through today. And this is beginner friendly, meaning if you have not done this work at all, the crystals have designed this to be something that you can do without having done the Istaria Crystallis training yet. And what they've called this journey simply is they've called it the journey into dreaming. And I'm going to speak more about what the crystals mean by dreaming and what the dreaming activates for us, what the dreaming opens for us and initiates in our world. So that's our little hour together. And I am recording this, so you will have access to the replay afterwards. We'll also extract the dreaming recording so that you can download that and experience that again, and that will be available tomorrow. So that's our day today. And also, you may have noticed if you went through what we call the hub, we always call it the hub, the different course hubs in Thinkific, you'll see that there's also sneak peeks, so little clips of some of the teachings, some of the wisdoms that are shared both in level 1 Codex and level 2 Alchemy. So you can get a bit of a sense of the program. A lot of the mysteries you experience when you're in the dreaming with the crystals. And I do see that there are a few of you here, who have moved up through all the levels of Astaria Crystallis. So we've got some grads here with us today who, in the chat may pipe up and share about this work and how it's touched them the way it has, or anything that they may feel they wish to share. So you know who you are. You're welcome to drop that in the chat if you feel moved to, if you feel so aligned. But first, I just wanted to open the floor and see, right off the bat, because if you've worked with me at all before, I can keep talking and sharing probably well long after the cows have come home, jumped over the moon, and taken over the planet. So I want to open that floor first. If not, I'll just start going into story time, I guess. and talking about things. And you guys can pop in whenever you wish because this is your time. I am here to hold space for you. I did create sacred space in this circle before we began. And definitely as we go into the dreaming, if any of our current Istaria Crystallis people wish to also holographically create additional sacred geometry in our circle, in our space, to help hold the space and guide us through the dreaming, you are welcome to do that. You are very magical souls and well versed in this work at this point. So do we have any questions about, I don't know, anything, the nature of Astaria Crystallis, what it is? Perhaps there's a couple of you who even want to share why you felt pulled to this work. So we're here in community, we're here in Sacred Circle, and you'll find that community in the Astaria Crystallis world is very I guess engaged in the most light-filled, supportive, and beautiful way. We start to feel very much like, an extended soul family, really, because because we've been sung into this different, expansive world with the crystals. And so it's like walking a path with someone who has shared some of your experiences and knows some of the secrets that you two know. And so it creates that beautiful kind of sacred bond. Corrine, you have a question here. I was wondering if it is okay to participate in this round of Starry Crystallis level 2 while I'm still rounding up level 1. I do feel that it is the right time for me to follow on with level 2, and I think I will round up level 1 in the following 3 weeks. Almost about to start. Whoops, where did that just go? Uh, Uh, almost about to start with class 11. So, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you're almost about to start class 11, then that just leaves you class 12. And I believe class 11, that's the ancestors with the other world, journeying through the mists into the other world to begin cultivating that relationship with your ancestors. And then in class 12, you have I believe that's the DNA where you start learning about what's encoded in your DNA and the crystalline strands and the light codes in your DNA. So you're almost there. And Astaria Crystallis, both levels, level 1 and level 2, are self-paced. And there's a couple reasons why we created it in that way. The first is because this is spiritual work. This is a path you are walking. This is a calling. This is something that your crystals and your soul have sung you to, because on your timeline at this point in your path and process, this is the next level for you, the next level activation, the next level awakening, a turning point, a pivot, where you're called into more of your co-creative, your self-healing, and your soul purpose and power. And so that, by its very nature, must be dictated by something higher in terms of the timing of that. And so it's going to be different for everyone. And then the second reason we do that is because life is stressful enough and we're taking the pressure off. So even though the course itself is 3 months, we give you a year. And some people move right through, in those 3 months. Some people take the time that they need to take. So Quirine, Basically, to circle back to your question, absolutely, because it sounds like you'll have more than plenty time to finish level 1 before moving on to level 2. And that's important because because I design everything through experience, through lived experience, through doing the work, due diligence, etc. I research and develop things with the crystals, with spirit, and then through my own capacity before I ever put anything out. So everything leads into the next thing and everything builds into the next thing seamlessly. And even my luminous guide, and you're going to learn a bit more about what that means today and possibly even meet with one. Even my luminous guide showed me, gave me um, the shape of this whole um, mystery school. I call it a program, but it really is a mystery school, full of joy and light and power. But the shape of it, the divine construction of it, is a pyramid. And so with each level, we're moving up in the pyramid closer to source creation energy. Um, yeah. In other words, that's fine. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, Allison, thank you for dropping in. Thank you, my friend. Okay, there's hands up. Yes. Okay, so I've answered you, and I think Allison, you were letting me know that the chat wasn't working. All right. Is there someone else who has a question? You can either draw here over in the Q&A. Cindy, I completed all of the Lightwalker levels. So where would I start with Istaria? Okay, that is an excellent question. That is an excellent question. So the next place to move from Lightwalker level 3 would be into the alchemy level, which is level 2 of Astaria Crystallis, because in Lightwalker level 3, you did have an initiation into dragon medicine. But we go much deeper into that. It becomes much more layered in Astaria Chrysalis level 2 alchemy. And we also go much, much deeper into the fabric of past life healing and reclaiming, especially in terms of including time loops and unweaving dreams. Um, um, Learning more of our ancient wisdom, but also you'll be learning how to transmute and dissolve contracts, past life contracts, especially of the dark variety, vows. You're going to be learning how to unravel and unweave all of those. But the other as well, and all of that also will deepen and work its way through the ancestral healing work. But the other thing too that you'll be learning in level 2 is you're going to be learning more advanced Lemurian holograph healing, but then also the blueprinting. So there's always with Astaria Crystallis, and the crystals have always taught this, while we have the shadow work, the healing work, the wound work that we need to do, that they teach us how to do at an alchemical level in our DNA, going back through either our ancestral or our soul lines. We also need the radiance. We need to be dreaming or blueprinting, as Lemurians call it, the Lemurian consciousness, blueprinting what it is we're becoming. So with all of that training, what's also layered in is, what are we now weaving into our consciousness? What are we now choosing that is in alignment with our souls? What are we projecting out into our reality that's going to bring us greater joy, greater ease, greater purpose? And so all of that is built into that level as well. And so that's why, even having gone up through the 3 levels in Lightwalker, you then come into 2 of Astaria Crystallis because it's so much more in terms of the work. So hopefully that will, you're still working with your dragon. I mentioned that in a newsletter actually that I passed out, yes, sent out yesterday, Cindy, for level 2 to the wait list. And I was saying, trust me, just ask in the Facebook group. Anyone who's had that initiation into dragon medicine and magic and has started working with their dragon guide, it's a game changer. That term is used so often, but it really truly is. I don't know that there's anyone actually that I know of in Astaria Crystallis who, once they have had that initiation, doesn't pretty much work with their dragon guide almost every single journey afterwards. Um, so yeah. And um, okay, and so here's another question. Is Codex the course that uses the most sacred geometry, being waiting for a class like that? So there is sacred geometry. Yeah, we work with sacred geometry. There are some core shapes and some specific ways the crystals teach us to work with them within the Istaria Crystallis context that we learn in level 1, that we continue to practice through level 2. And then there are more sacred geometric forms, shapes, magic, and teachings that we learn in Lemurian Blueprint. But if you're looking for sacred geometry specifically, Codex, while we're taught the shapes we are in Astaria Crystallis, that is to help support us in all the consciousness and light code work that we're doing. Primer, however, is specifically about sacred geometry and about the lost magic of sacred geometry. And so what you get is you get teachings, and then you're guided through the practices of 7 shapes there. So that may speak to you if you're specifically looking for sacred geometric magic. All right. Some good questions here. All right, so I'm not seeing any others for right now. So I've been talking a lot about, or mentioning a lot the crystals. And so one of the really important things to share about this is that it's the crystals that are the teachers. It is the crystals who taught me this work. And so this whole system, all the different healing techniques, all the different wisdoms and teachings, I have channeled through them. So I take credit as vessel. But this is the crystal system themselves. And when you come into this work, and those of you who have already experienced it, I'm sure you'll agree with me, you can feel it. You can feel it in the very fabric of this, the light, the frequencies of it. There's something very, very different and magical about this work, and I feel it even coming into the space now as I speak. And it comes from something much higher and divine than usually what at least I could come up with in mind anyway. And how it all started was, and very, very quickly, because I can already feel that some of you are like, we want to get into this dreaming. Oh, I feel you, my friends. I feel you. We are of a like mind there. And so we're going to get into that shortly. But how this came into being was I started channeling. I started channeling through crystals, and you can see just even on my YouTube channel, I think that goes, I don't know when I started that, like 2017, I don't know, 2018, somewhere around there. I started channeling through the crystals, mediumship. At the time, I was still teaching what I refer to as traditional crystal therapy, which still has its place, Um, and crystal reading, but I kept feeling there were there was something much deeper in crystals that I hadn't tapped into, that I hadn't unlocked yet. And so I started doing this channeling, started doing this mediumship, and it came to a point where I felt I had done my duty, so to speak, to the work that I had done up to that point with the crystals. Because at that point, I think I was at about the 15-year mark, full time, of being a professional crystal healer. Um, and I was at a crossroads. Do I continue to go down, this route and look more into the healing science of it, or do I go in a different direction? And it was so clear in my soul. I wanted to go into the magic. I wanted to go into this spiritual because that's what had sparked my heart about crystals right from the very beginning. And so I took a deep breath, and that's the leap. That was the leap. And of course, they caught me. I could cry about it, but I'll try not to because I have eye makeup on. The vanity. I am a Leo. But anyway, so yeah, and they caught me. And at first, what I thought I was building was like a mediumship program, but mediumship through crystals. And what ended up coming through piece by piece and evolving became so much more. And essentially, what the crystals, first, what they opened to me was just an incredible universe, like galaxy size, not even galaxy size, that's too small, universe sized treasure trove of ancient knowledge. And yes, especially when you get into the higher levels, ancient knowledge that we even tap into that predates humanity, predates the earth, and all the wisdom and all the mysteries, all the knowledge, and the different streams of consciousness that were encoded there. And let's make no mistake, because this is a message I'll be sharing later today, because this again came through the crystals. Knowledge and wisdom is power. They say money is power. Sure, it's an energy exchange. But knowledge and wisdom, consciousness, to them is the greatest power. And even the highest elite on this planet, they're always seeking to learn more. They're always seeking to find more. They're always seeking to tap into more. It goes beyond anything physical, we can exchange between ourselves. And of course, that can be used for good or evil. Here, only ever good. We are light walkers. We are light walkers. Even if by a different name now, that is still what we are. But the more that we come into knowledge and wisdom, the more that we have true power over the only thing we have power over, and that is ourselves. And the reality and the life and the world that we are creating. And trust me when I say that ancient knowledge is extremely beneficial. It is extremely powerful. This is why, by and large, it's been preserved, in secret. mystery schools, lineages. I dare use the term secret society, but there we are. This is why we still see sacred geometric forms carved into buildings of importance, spiritual sites, and symbols. Why even many modern buildings and banks are constructed in accordance with Feng Shui principles. Why we have a pyramid, a glass pyramid built to the exact ratios of the temple of Luxor, and even one of the Luxor obelisks in the middle of Paris, France. And so with this work comes a remembering. And with that remembering becomes an exponential healing shift that can happen on this planet and in our lives. And a co-creative force that takes us beyond the basic manifestation principles and practices that many of us may know of. So that was the first thing that opened for me. But then the second thing they began to teach me was how to do healing work and manifestation work in the hidden parts of ourselves that are so hard to access. What's operating, the programming and conditioning that's operating in our unconscious minds. The beliefs that keep us stuck in our cellular memory. And these are things that you can actually Google. I mean, these are areas of study. Here, we're doing the mystical because we're doing work through consciousness, and we're doing this work channeling crystal energy. And also what we inherited in our DNA from our ancestors. And that can be a very powerful thing, just even there to shift. Because throughout your ancestry, many of the generations in your line had one belief about what was possible for them and how life could be lived, and that was it. And that's been passed down and passed down to you. And then you're wondering why you can't, why you feel so blocked, why more isn't possible for you, because there's a belief in your DNA that's keeping you stuck. We can see that stuff in past life patterns as well. So they started showing me how to heal at that level with crystals, which was a limitation that I had found in, the more traditional work with the chakras and so on. So this is like the added layer, the next layer, because there comes a point where if everything is created in consciousness, then that's where we've got to go if we want to make real change in our reality. And so that is the essence of Istaria Crystallis. And the crystals will tell you the real purpose of this work is freedom. Finding freedom, embodying freedom, the freedom to be who you truly are, the freedom to live how you truly desire and are designed and aligned to live. Imagine going back to a world where there was no lack and there was harmony, there was peace. Well, that did exist on this planet once. If it's something you're willing to accept in your system of belief, it existed in the time of the Lemurian people. And even when you study Egyptian texts, ancient Egyptian texts and lore, they talk about the gods Osiris and Isis once reigning over such a civilization, such a time in Earth's history. And that imprint, those imprints, that consciousness, that way of being is still encoded in certain crystals. And so when we learn how to tap into that and start awakening and reactivating that memory in our DNA, in our cells, because of course, if we are physical here living on this earth, we all ultimately come from ancient bloodlines. We are ultimately the descendants by the infinity or thousands or whatever lines of generations of the ones who lived at least long enough to make us. And some of you may even be feeling that activation in you as I speak. Because, of course, any work that I do, the crystals are always channeling energy into the fabric of the sacred circle that we're all now sitting in. And that includes those of you who are watching the video in the future now. Imagine what starts happening in this world when more people are embodying and living from that place. Here's another thing you can get Google: the 100th monkey phenomenon. So it's micro, macro. We win from this work, but so does the world we live in. And my goodness, is that not a beautiful thing to hear and embody? And that does bring tears. And so I feel like, unless there's any more questions, I'd like to come into the dreaming, and I'd like to start talking about the dreaming. Hopefully I haven't bored you all. Well, everyone's still here, so I'm doing okay. All right. So the dreaming, what is the dreaming? What is the dreaming? So the dreaming, the dream place, according to the crystals, is ultimately its consciousness. And the different realms, the different holographic or quantum universes, that all exist in consciousness. And of course, how consciousness operates, the more we become aware of them, the more they exist, the more they become real for us. But it's essentially entering into the realm of consciousness, or you could say perhaps the realm of spirit, the ethers, light, energy. And so there's dreaming into being, which is where we receive visions, guidance, either from our souls or from these realms, our teachers, our spirit teachers in these realms, or etheric teachers. And then we start manifesting that into our physical reality. That's what they call dreaming into being. But the dreaming itself, many do experience rather like a dream, a lucid dream. So you're aware, you're still in control, you're still conscious, but you're also surrendered in a dream. If you've ever done shamanic journeying, or any kind of transcendental medicine, herbs, etc., or even if you've dropped into trance during some kind of music you're listening to, you're being pulled into the dreaming. So, you know, in what is it, universal shamanic practice, for instance, The drumming drops you into trance. And then through trance, you imagine entering a portal going down into the lower world or the upper world. And as you arrive in those worlds, you're in the dreaming. That's their version. The crystals have their own. But when we enter into the dreaming, something really incredible happens. First, that treasure trove of ancient knowledge and wisdom and teachings and memory begins to open to you. Especially by the time Istaria, Crystallis, people enter into the Lemurian blueprint level. Many have ancient Egyptian guides, Lemurian guides, guides from Babylonia. Great prophets, sages, teachers of our times begin to appear to them, guide them, teach them. And many of those will start to introduce themselves right in level 1, because crystals are the gateway. And a lot of this consciousness can also be holographically downloaded into crystals that we can then engage with. And by the way, we've seen that before. If you've ever watched a Superman movie, you've seen that. Because in the original Superman movie, and I kid you not, you can go back and check this, the technology is crystalline. And they leave a little crystal with him when they send him in his little ship and send him to Earth before their planet, Krypton, explodes. His parents do. And what's encoded in that crystal? He throws it into the ice in the Arctic. It forms this crystalline temple that he lives in. True, this is all true. Well, according to the story. And then what is encoded? What is holographically encoded in one of those crystals? His father. And he's able to meet and speak with his father and learn from his father the nature of what he is, et cetera, where he came from. In the Superman movie, this massive blockbuster, worldwide famous comic and movie series. Well, believe it or not, you can journey and experience the same thing. And that's going to be part of the nature of the dreaming we're doing today. And so, I'm going to ask you to take hold of your quartz crystal. Yeah, it's actually pretty incredible, some of the wisdom teachings from the ancients that we see show up in, I guess, what I'll refer to as pop culture, but it's in art. It's everywhere. I mean, look at Leonardo da Vinci's work. There's a reason. There's a higher reason to all of this. And see, even as Egyptian and Atlantean and ancient Greek and the Mayan, the Druids, you know, even as their civilizations rose and fell, even as their libraries were burned, seeking to wipe that knowledge. That's another thing you can Google historically. In ancient wars, they always burned the victors always burned the libraries of whatever civilization they conquered. There's a reason they did that, my friends. But even so, all of it is still encoded in the crystals. The crystals have borne witness for thousands of years, and they pass information and energy between themselves just like tree roots do. It's why I can promise that as you enter into this work, how you work with crystals is never the same afterwards. So now, with your quartz crystal, because quartz is one of our best and cleanest and most direct activators. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And if you're familiar with this exercise, if you already know how to use your breath to drop down into your center, please do. And if it's new to you, the simple teaching that I use that I find is always most effective is to imagine that you're up here in your mind, and you're up here in your mind inside of a balloon. And with each exhalation, you let a little gas out of that balloon, and the balloon begins to sink. And so as we inhale, we're inhaling spirit, we're inviting the highest divine spirit of light. And on the exhalation, we're letting air out and we're dropping down, 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 down. Until all of a sudden you feel yourself gently land that feels to you, or that you imagine is, your center. Because in this work, we're allowed to use our imagination. Why? The imagination takes you out of limiting mind, 3D bias, doubt, conditioning. In your imagination, you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. What is that? Freedom. Reclaim your imagination. And so here in your center, you'll feel that you're at once both expansive and held, aware of what's happening around you, and yet removed, serene, peaceful. That is your soul seat. You're now in your divine connection to all that is. And so bring your awareness to the crystal in your hand. So just shift your awareness from your center, like you're gazing from your center, to the crystal in your hand. Knowing that it has a spirit, a consciousness, and within it, a whole quantum universe. Quantum means many, 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 many microscopic, minuscule. But infinity can be contained within a quantum universe. The paradox. And that crystal also contains beyond ancient memory and encodings. And as you become aware of that in your crystal and become aware of its consciousness, it becomes aware of yours. Open to it. Invite it in. Silently greet it. And then silently ask that it cast a sphere of light all around you in your energetic field. And some of you may immediately feel that take shape. And now I'm going to walk you quickly through an awaken matrix that the crystals have taught me. We'll be done in about 10 minutes, just under. And so now that that sphere is cast, ask your quartz crystal to please harmonize your energy and raise your frequency. And as you make that request, and as the quartz, the spirit of your quartz responds, again, some of you may feel something happening on a cellular level because they begin to vibrate faster. It's vibration that creates frequency. So as frequency rises, vibration increases. And this starts moving us into prime state, where we have greater access to our potential. And now ask the spirit of your quartz if it will please cast a pyramid of light around you within your sphere. That helps to open your higher divine channels while grounding you in the earth and crystalline matrix. And now ask the spirit of your quartz to please cast a smaller pyramid at the base of your spine. You should all be feeling a real shift here now. Something is definitely happening. The crystals call that the awaken matrix. And now from this space, and still staying centered, cast your imagination down to the center of our earth. And at the center of our earth, there is a massive iron ore crystals. Massive iron ore crystal that even geologists believe to be there. And that crystal is billions of years old. And its energy is powerfully magnetic, electromagnetic. It generates multidimensional fields. but it also helps to stabilize our energy fields. And so rather than sending your energy down, draw that energy up into your full system. Because again, as you become consciously aware of that great crystal, it becomes consciously aware of you. And an exchange naturally occurs. That is very healing, very empowering. And now, from within all this energy, still with your imagination in the earth, bring your awareness to all the crystals in the earth. All of the energy they are emitting, the energy fields they are creating. And they too are all vibrating. And that vibration creates a crystalline harmonic that you can hear. And it sounds like they're singing to you. And of course, with vibration, with harmonics, with sound, we have light, even color. And now ask the spirit of your crystal, silently ask it, please bring me into the dreaming. And allow it to pull you into that crystalline realm of harmonics and light. Fully surrender to where it brings you. And just perhaps a luminous guide may appear. I'll give you a few minutes of silence and then I'll call you back. And so now it's time to return. Ask the spirit of your crystal to draw you back out the way you came and to land you safely in your center. And to close the channel to the dreaming. And give thanks to the spirit of your crystal, whom no doubt has just become an ally. And you can allow its spirit, its consciousness, its energy to recede back into itself. And then take a few deep breaths. Bringing yourself fully back into your body and the awareness of your body. And if you wish for that sacred crystalline grid to hold in your body and in your energetic field, you can now affirm that it does so for a full consecutive 24 hours starting now. And so it is. Beautiful work, my friends. Sorry, Hamish just had a little moment. My little dog, Hamish, who's always beneath my desk at my feet when I do this work. He loves this work. So that was our circle today, as I was saying. And when you were in the dreaming, it may have felt like a split second, may have felt super long and profound. And that's a little taste of we could call it a time ellipsis or time elision, I guess, that you experience when you go into the dreaming because you're going out of time, out of space-time. Time only exists here in the 3D. And tomorrow with the download, we'll extend that time so you can stay in there a bit longer. But that's a taste. That's a sample of going into the dreaming or going into what I call transcendental journey and medicine with crystals. And even if you just tune in with yourself and check in with yourself now to see how you're feeling. For the most part, we always feel better after we come out of journey with the crystals. And there's always been a shift, a healing shift that has happened in our consciousness because we've ultimately been in such a conduit of light and benevolence. You could feel how loving that energy was. And so I'll stay on here for a few more minutes just to see if anyone has any questions. or has anything they'd like to share? Thank you, Siobhan. Oh, yes. And Siobhan's reminding me too, level 1 and level 2 codex. Because we're in advanced enrollment right now, there is a discount. So it's, of course, we always work with the sacredness of numbers as well in Istaria Crystallis. So the discount for level 1 is 222, 222, and the discount for level 2 is 111, 111 until this coming Tuesday, September 3rd. So if you feel you want more, trust me, I understand. I feel that every day. Um, now's a good time. Now's a good time to join us. And as I said, with this work, you only ever win. So thank you, Allison. And by the way, while the course is self-paced, um, the class is being pre-recorded. We do join in circle and community every month in a group session to discuss the work, to meet with each other, to share with each other. And we also have, we're creating we have a Facebook group, but then we're also creating a private community within the course as well, where people can meet and share with each other, because the sharing helps us to process, but also helps us to feel supported and feel held. And we all learn from each other. I'm always learning. So we all learn from each other too. So we'll be creating that. We already have one for Lemurian Blueprint, which is called The Dreaming Place. I think it's The Dreaming Place. So yeah, welcome to the dream, my friends. This was just a wee taste, just a beginning of what's possible. But if it opened your eyes to that, then I'm glad. You are most welcome, Rupa. We have a question here. At what time are the monthly meetings? I'm in Europe and would like to know if I will be able to attend in person. Thanks. Yes, Louisa. So we usually book them in at 12 noon Eastern time. So because we have we have quite a number of students all over the world in different time zones. So for most time zones, that will land somewhere in the early evening for you, I'm guessing, for Europe. So yeah, early to late evening, depending on where you are, continentally speaking, and then either lunchtime or morning for East Coast, West Coast here in North and South America. You're most welcome. You're most welcome, Krisha. Yeah, it's perfect. We tried. It works for me too, so it's all good. I think some of you just don't want to leave this circle. I mean, the energy just feels so wonderful, doesn't it? Mm. Yeah. Oh, I miss you too, Cindy. I hope we get to work together again soon. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, My loves, then I will let you go. Um, you're most welcome, Terry. And if you have questions, please feel free to email Siobhan. And either she or I will get back to you. But again, if it's saying to your heart, I hope to see you all um in this journey. It is a journey, it is an embarking, it is a journey. And so again, there's more sacred geometric work you'll be doing. You'll learn how to remain within your sovereignty and your authority and your safety in this work. That's taught before we begin the journey proper. But then all kinds of realms. You'll be introduced to all kinds of realms. The book of you, your soul history, your ancestors, and what some of you may have encountered potentially when you were in the dreaming. This is different from receiving things intuitively. Here, it's like you're in the room speaking with them. And so it's a very different experience. And Siobhan's just put her email there. If anyone needs it, and in the recording, it'll be down underneath in the text. So I'm going to head off. And oh, here's a final question for Rupa. Do we have to activate the crystalline grid every 24 hours, or can be extended for a longer period of time? That's an excellent question. That's actually something, a teaching that I shared in primer. So the 24-hour loop is based, again, on ancient knowledge, ancient magical knowledge and practice. And in short, basically, the belief is that as the earth turns on its axis and comes back to the point in time where we set that magic, it comes back to zero. And so it resets. And so at this time tomorrow, it comes back to zero. And so you need to reset it. And of course, you can reset it earlier if it works better for you to do it in the morning or whatever. But yeah, the crystals teach to always reset our crystalline grids, our holographic crystalline grids every 24 hours because of that reset that's encoded in them. So yes. Yes, and that's why. All right, my friends, thank you so much for attending today. I deeply appreciate you. I'm grateful to you. I hope that you have a blessed day, and that you enjoyed yourself. All right, take care.